Hey going everybody, welcome to another episode of our Minecraft Survival Let's Play series. Today we're going to be doing some very small but very necessary tasks and hopefully some interesting building. So we'll start off by getting some housekeeping out of the way and then we'll move on to seeing about our new horses. I think they need a place to live, so let's take care of that. And then I promised you something in episode 1. And I'll reveal to you later what that is. But I'm going to make good on that promise. I promise. Let's get started. I have a house guest. I didn't ask for this house guest. He just appeared. Shall we let him stay? We have 2 house guests. I didn't ask for these house guests. They just appeared. Well, that explains how they're getting in and out. I forgot to replace the glass after we had our little incident down here. Well, I did say I was doing chores. The first chore is to fix this rug that was exploded in that incident as well. So I might as well fix the glass as well. I'm not even sure if that's how it was before, but you know, I think I like it as is. Maybe it is how it was. That's done. Glass next. And there we go. Patched up. Just in time before I got invaded by chickens. Next on the agenda is to take down some of these trees. I'm right over next to the house. Not far away. Just there. And this is in preparation for our build later on. I did wonder whether I should show this kind of task, these few necessary things on camera. Some people might think it's boring. Maybe some of you do, maybe some of you don't. For me, it's part of the game, and part of the idea of this series was a nice relaxing place, for the most part. People could chill as they watch me going about my Minecrafting business. And so I think doing the daily chores is kind of part of that, isn't it? Not that I'm going to be chopping trees every time I do a video. I'll also have to fill in the top of this cave. But that shouldn't be too hard. Is that enough space, I wonder? Maybe a little bit more. A little bit more. This spot is just for where the stables are going to go. For the new additions to our community. Our nice new horses. There goes our axe. So I guess that tells us that that's enough of that. On to the next thing. And that is covering up some of these caves. Filling in some of the holes. Getting pushed around by a pig. Mind. I don't have any carrots. Why are you obsessed with me? Sheesh. So we'll fill this in. I'm not going to do a hell of a lot of landscaping around here. I don't want to change the terrain too much. I like to try and build with what I got without altering it too much. But you have to do it a little bit sometimes. I'll pop a few torches down here just so we're not getting growled at constantly. When we're up above. That should do. Not too many. The good thing about having caves underneath where you're building a village or any place that you're going to be living in or your villagers are going to be living in is that some of the mob cap will spawn down there. And so they're less likely to be up above at night time hassling you. So if you're building farms, automatic farms that need to be very efficient, then it's good to light up caves in the area, of course. makes them more efficient. But if you're building in an area like this, leave those caves down there. You'll thank me later. I think it's time we did a little harvesting on this sugarcane. I put this in a while ago. I really could do with a decent sugarcane farm. This is serving the purpose for now. And I'm just collecting a few bits every now and then when I spot that they've grown up. And I'm putting them away in a chest in the house. So that later I can make some books, you know, get some enchanting going. But we're not in a rush for that kind of stuff just yet. Now, I only managed to grab a couple of pieces of cactus when we found the desert in the last episode. So I'm going to have to grow those up if I want green dye or anything else cactusy. I think this little spot here will do. Pretty close to where I'll be building, and so the cactus should grow up. So we'll pop these down here. Let them do their thing, and I'll probably cover over this entire sandy area with them. Harvest them up. Later on we'll make farms for all these things. Sugarcane, the cactus. Make them pretty. But for now, practical farms it is. Very manual. Hard to believe we're on episode 7 already. Seems like just yesterday I started this series. It's been an interesting journey. And I've learned a lot. Even just in this amount of time. It never looks like there's a lot that goes into being a YouTuber. Certainly, I did research before I started this. But you don't really realize unless you're doing it how much work goes into it. A lot of time and effort. I have a newborn respect for people who do it full time. And for anybody who's interested out there, this part, the playing of the game, is probably the least of it. You've probably heard it before, but the editing and the preparation and the research and the planning, that's the real work. Plus, I guess once you're making money in it and you do it full time, you've got a business to run. Running a business is never easy, even if it's just yourself. Many times it's harder if it's just yourself. The 7 episodes has flown by, and it's not very long, it's not very much content. Situation now is that a lot of the time I'm talking to a very limited audience, if any audience at all, sometimes. So that's been a little strange. That's one of the questions I had. I know when I was watching YouTube and wondering about how people did it. It's like, how do you start off? How do you just talk to people that aren't there? Well, this is it. If anybody is watching this in the future, I guess I'm talking to you. Right now, when I put a video up, there aren't a lot of views, and that's to be expected. And it's kind of nice in the beginning when you're not 100% sure of what you're doing and you're experimenting with things and learning the ways. It's easier to allow yourself to make mistakes, I think, when you know that there isn't a huge expectation out there on you. But it'll be interesting to watch these back in years to come, whether the channel takes off or not. I can watch them, or maybe you guys will be watching them in weeks or months or years from now. And we can reflect on the differences between now and then. And our last thing to do here is feed our animals. You hungry? It's been a while since I fed you. Everybody want some wheat? Come get it. Oop. And I almost forgot you guys. Hang on, don't go anywhere. There you go. Okay, that's the animals taken care of. I think it's time we get started on a stable for these two fine animals. Shivering out here in the cold, we can't have that. Part of setting up the build site for me is not just clearing the area, though that's very important. It's also laying out the items that you might need ahead of time. Now, I've set this up with some signs so you guys can see what is where. But generally a few chests will do it, get you organized. I know a lot of you guys probably do this already, but it's important for anybody who doesn't know. Get your project set up beforehand, and it's going to save you a lot of headaches as you're building, so you're not going back and forth trying to get what you need. Have your workbenches ready as well, and you're good to go. You enjoy the build a lot more, I find at least. So we'll start off here by just placing some blocks down. We'll put them with a gap of 4 apart. The idea being that we can get 2 fence gates in the middle and 2 fences on the outside. Plenty of room to get the horses in. And I want to do that there, and I want to do it there. Yeah. And we'll have 4 of these separate stables for horses when we're finished. I'm just making the majority of the build out of stripped oak logs. And then on the side here we'll put in a little building or a room just for storage for anybody who's tending the horses, and we might put a little bit of extra storage at the top. You'll see what I mean. So that's the footprint. It's very simple, very easy build. It is just the stables after all. So it's time to build it up now. Something really satisfying about this process. Oh, I ran out of blocks. Here we go. Always put torches in your rooms before you put roofs on them. You'll end up with little mob farms if you're not careful. There's the walls up. Now it's just time to put a little roof on it. I've decided to go with dark oak for a nice contrast between the light walls and a nice dark roof. Let's see how that looks. Let's have a look. I think that's a little bit too low for my liking. I'm using the birch, by the way, so I know which blocks to take out later on. Little trick. Usually I use dirt, but I've got birch on me. Yeah, so that's a little low. So I'm going to redo that and start it out a little further. I like that better, so we'll go from there. Okay, that's that side of the roof done. I've left this bit empty because I'm going to build a little bit of a tower at the side here. Maybe 2 stories, maybe a little higher. Just for a little contrast in height. So we have something to draw the eye upwards. First, I'll have a little sleep. And there's our basic shape. I quickly elongated it as well because I realized I said 4 stables and proceeded to make 3. So it's gone out a little further in that direction. But otherwise, that's the base of it. Now we add some details. We can add a little detail to our roofs by popping out a stair like this here or there and replacing them with full blocks or even slabs like this. It just gives a little texture detail, little difference on the roof. And different is good when it comes to building. Then on the very top here, for a little change in texture and in color, we can pop a different block down as a slab. Also stops mobs spawning up here, if that's a concern to you. But if we have a light color up here, or even just any kind of change in color, again, it stops the eye from getting bored, it draws it upwards, and these are all good things. Variation. It's always a good thing to have. And I'll use this same texture and color down here at the bottom, so it frames the building and ties it together. We'll also use that lighter color here on the underneath part of the ceiling, so that we have a little bit of lightness in here. It's not just dark ceiling all the way through. There, I think that's much better. I think the horses will appreciate that, don't you? Let's hope so. Now we do a little trimming with some trapdoors. And realize that I almost forgot an entire section of the roof. I'm going to bring this across around this part of the building, so it looks like the roof continues and brings the building together a little better than if it just stopped. See? Much better, right? And one of the last things that I want to do here for the details on the building is a little bit of texturing on the walls. So I'm going to replace some of this stripped oak with these oak planks. You guys watch the difference that this makes, just this small change. What do you guys think? I've just recently started doing this with my builds as a little added texture difference, and I love what it does to the look of a build. Obviously it works quite well with the stripped and the planks for oak. You can do the same thing for all the woods to texture them in. It's quite a commonly used little building trick. I'm so glad I picked it up. It just makes a difference, I think. But that's the building completed. The only thing left to do is to do a little bit of decorating. We'll start with a few birch leaves on the roof. This is just something that I'm doing for around this area, just to tie the village in. If a lot or most of the buildings have these leaf-looking effects, it cements the idea that it's all part of the one village, and that it's something that happens to buildings in this area. You know what I mean? So you don't have to do this if you're building something like this, or building along. But it fits for here. And for down here, some spruce bushes. This is so it'll fit in with our hedgerows that we've got in the village. A little coarse dirt around the stables to show wear and tear by the animals. Some lanterns to light it up. And one finishing touch. A nice flag for the top. And that is one completed stable. Only one thing left to do, and that is to move our lovely horses in. Hey, you're looking to get in yourself, are you? Here you go. Now, what do you think of your new home? Nice, isn't it? Think you'd be very happy here. Almost forgot to feed them. It could have been awkward. I really like this build. I hope you do too. It's very simple and clean, and it fits the surroundings, I think. I'm quite happy with it. But now it's time to finish that build that I promised you at the start of the episode. And what might that be, microcosm, you say? Well, in episode 1, when I found this place initially, I said that I imagined a bridge going across from the mine to where the village would be. I'm probably going to have to landscape a little bit of this and a little bit of that to make it fit correctly. But it's going to be a beauty. And there it is in all its glory. I hope you guys like the build. I poured over this. I have to admit, this is not the first iteration of this bridge. I built it up and I wasn't happy with the result. So I had to tear it down and start from scratch. And that's the result that you see before you. So let me know in the comments if you guys like it or if you change something. There's a couple of things I'd probably change about it, but I'm quite pleased overall with how it's turned out. But for now, that's the end of this episode. Hope you're enjoying the series so far. If you are, hit the old subscribe button there. Give us a like, you know yourself. And I'll see you next time. Bye.